You already have it, not as a future event, not as a distant possibility, but as a present fact established within consciousness. The moment a desire appeared in you, it was not a suggestion of lack, it was proof of ownership. Nothing enters awareness without first being sanctioned by a deeper law. Desire is the echo of fulfillment calling you to recognize what is already yours. Most people believe receiving is something that happens after effort, struggle, or waiting. But receiving is not an action, it is a state. It is not something you do, it is something you allow by remaining aligned with the certainty of possession. The only requirement is readiness, and readiness has nothing to do with external conditions. Readiness is an inner posture, a quiet acceptance that says, "This is mine, and I am available for it now." To stay ready to receive, you must release the habit of scanning the world for confirmation. The outer world is always delayed. It reflects what has already been accepted within. When you look outside too soon, you introduce doubt. When you look inside and remain settled, you maintain authority. The one who knows does not rush, does not beg, and does not chase signs. Knowing is calm, knowing is still. Faith is often misunderstood as emotional intensity or hopeful wishing. True faith is far simpler and far more powerful. It is the absence of inner argument. It is the end of negotiation with life. Faith is when the mind stops asking how and rests in done. When faith is present, anxiety fades, not because everything has appeared yet, but because nothing needs to be forced. Staying ready means you do not mentally rehearse disappointment. You do not prepare yourself for delay. You do not protect yourself from imagined failure. Those habits signal mistrust. Instead, you live from the assumption that fulfillment is normal, expected, and appropriate. You move through your day as one who is already supported, already chosen, already supplied. Detachment is not indifference. Detachment is confidence. When you know something is yours, you do not grip it tightly. You relax. You do not fear losing it because you are not trying to get it. You are simply allowing the natural sequence of expression to unfold. Timing is not your responsibility. Alignment is. Your role is not to manipulate circumstances, but to maintain identity. When you remain identified with the version of yourself who already has, circumstances reorganize without instruction. Life rearranges itself to match the assumption you consistently occupy. Doors open not because you knocked harder, but because you arrived knowing they were meant for you. Readiness is reflected in how you respond to the present moment. Do you complain or do you trust? Do you resist or do you allow? Every reaction is a confession of belief. Choose responses that align with fulfillment, speak from completion, think from stability, act without desperation. Receiving does not require perfection. It requires allowance. Even doubt loses power when it is not entertained. You do not need to fight opposing thoughts. You only need to stop feeding them. Return again and again to the quiet knowing. This is already established. Persistence is not force. It is loyalty to that knowing. When the moment of physical arrival comes, it will feel natural, not dramatic. That is how you will know it is real. Manifestation never shocks the one who has already accepted it. It arrives like a long-expected guest, welcomed without surprise. So stay ready, stay inwardly open, Stay settled in the assumption of fulfillment. You already have it, and because you know this, receiving becomes inevitable, not as a miracle, but as a reflection of who you chose to be. Desire is not a sign of absence. It is a signal of ownership operating beneath conscious awareness. Nothing arises within the mind without first existing as a possibility already approved by a deeper level of consciousness. If something were truly foreign to you, it could not appear as a desire at all. Desire emerges because, at some level, the experience is already claimed. It is the inner announcement of what has been accepted as yours before it becomes visible in form. Most people are conditioned to interpret desire as proof that something is missing. This misunderstanding creates tension, striving, and impatience. But desire does not come to torment you, it comes to awaken you. It is not asking you to chase, beg, or force reality into compliance. It is inviting you to recognize an existing truth and align with it. The moment you feel desire, the work is not to pursue it, but to assume it. At the deepest level, consciousness does not operate in time. It does not distinguish between now and later. When a desire is impressed upon it, the impression is treated as fact. The delay that appears in the outer world is not a denial. It is simply the time it takes for the inner assumption to reorganize perception, behavior, and circumstance. Desire, then, is evidence that the seed has already been planted. Your task is not to dig it up repeatedly to check if it is growing, but to let it mature in its own way. When you understand desire correctly, urgency dissolves, anxiety fades, because you no longer feel separated from what you want. You stop asking when it will happen, because you no longer experience it as distant. You begin to live from a quiet expectancy, a natural confidence that does not need reassurance. This inner shift is the bridge between wanting and having. Desire becomes painful only when it is resisted or questioned. When you argue with it, doubt it, or label it unrealistic, you interrupt the natural flow of fulfillment. Resistance creates the illusion of struggle. Acceptance restores ease. To accept desire is to say, this belongs to me, and therefore it is allowed to appear. There is no force in this acceptance, only recognition. The moment you stop treating desire as a problem to solve, it transforms into guidance. It shows you the direction of your becoming. It reveals the version of yourself that already exists in potential. Desire is not pointing outward, it is pointing inward, toward an identity that is ready to be embodied. As you begin to honor desire as evidence of possession, your relationship with life changes. You become calmer, more grounded, and more trusting. You stop chasing outcomes and start aligning with states. You move from effort into allowance. In this state, fulfillment is no longer something you hope for, it is something you expect. Desire is consciousness remembering itself. It is the echo of completion calling you to match it. When you no longer treat desire as lack, it completes its purpose. What was once felt as longing becomes certainty, and certainty naturally expresses itself as experience. Readiness is not found in external arrangements, lists, or preparations. It is a condition of the mind and heart. Many mistake readiness for action. They believe that acquiring resources, planning, or waiting for the right moment constitutes being ready. In truth, all external preparation is meaningless. unless it is accompanied by an inner state that aligns with what is to be received. Readiness begins within, in the quiet recognition that you are already equipped to handle, experience, and embody the fulfillment of your desire. To be ready is to be settled, to have no inner conflict, and to possess a calm confidence that what you seek is already yours. External circumstances may fluctuate, people may resist, and opportunities may appear delayed, but these fluctuations have no bearing on true readiness. They are irrelevant when the mind has already assumed the state of having. When you understand this, preparation becomes internal rather than external. The mind becomes the workshop, the emotions, the instruments, and the imagination, the rehearsal space for living in the end of your desire. Many struggle because they wait for conditions to be perfect before they feel ready. They say, I will be ready when I have the money, the connections, the timing. But external perfection is never guaranteed, and relying on it is a trap. Real readiness ignores timing, ignores circumstance, and ignores the how of manifestation. It rests in the inner certainty that all required alignment has already taken place, and therefore the external world is only a reflection of what has been assumed internally. The moment you accept that readiness is internal, fear and hesitation dissolve. You stop postponing life until conditions align, and instead become a magnet for those conditions to naturally arrange themselves. Inner readiness also allows for effortless reception. When you are internally prepared, the universe does not need to struggle to meet you. It simply flows. Opportunities, relationships, insights, and resources present themselves because you are now compatible with their vibration. The outer world always follows the inner state. The one who is ready internally does not have to manipulate, chase, or compel. The state of readiness alone opens the door. Being internally ready also transforms your response to the present moment. You stop resisting what appears and stop forcing what hasn't yet manifested. You move with fluidity, patience, and quiet confidence. You no longer measure yourself by external benchmarks or judge the process. You rest in a knowing that fulfillment is inevitable because you are aligned with it internally. The external will always mirror this state. Readiness is not a checklist. It is the state of being that allows you to fully receive, to act decisively when opportunity arises, and to live in harmony with the inevitability of your own manifestation. When you cultivate this inner readiness, nothing in the external world can surprise you or throw you off balance. You are prepared, not by circumstance, but by consciousness itself. Faith is often misunderstood as an emotional surge, a forceful attempt to believe against the evidence, or a desperate hope that somehow things will work out. True faith, however, is far quieter, deeper, and more potent. It is a settled state of mind that carries no strain, no agitation, no pleading. It is certainty, not in the sense of wishful thinking, but in the sense of inner knowing that your desire is already accomplished and that the reality of it exists independently of current appearances. Faith is not a task, it is a condition of consciousness, effortless because it is natural. Many people attempt to feel faith through emotions, trying to manufacture excitement or conviction. This only creates tension and resistance because faith is not emotional. It is mental and existential. When you truly have faith, there is no need to argue with reality, to convince yourself, or to resist doubt. Faith rests beyond doubt. It does not contend with appearances or wait for proof. It does not fluctuate with circumstances. It is a quiet, unwavering acknowledgement that what is desired is already present in the deeper order of life and will express itself in the outer world in due time. Faith is aligned with identity, not with external events. It is the inner certainty that allows the mind to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. When faith is genuine, it does not react to delays or setbacks because it knows that time and circumstance are secondary. What matters is alignment with the inner reality of fulfillment. Faith is calm because it is aware that everything needed for manifestation is already in motion, whether seen or unseen. So, it is patient because it trusts in the natural unfolding of what consciousness has assumed. This quiet certainty shapes perception and experience. The one who embodies faith sees opportunities, resources, and guidance where the doubting mind sees obstacles. Faith is not about hoping or desiring. It is about accepting, knowing, and living from completion. When you act from this state, actions are inspired rather than forced. Decisions are guided rather than frantic, and life flows without struggle. This effortless alignment with reality opens doors that effort alone cannot. Faith also transforms the inner dialogue. Instead of questioning, worrying, or negotiating with reality, the faithful mind rests in assurance. Doubt may appear, but it cannot take hold, because faith is stronger than hesitation. It does not fight doubt, but ignores it, returning always to certainty. It is steady, unwavering, and self-sufficient. It does not demand reinforcement from the outer world because it is already validated by inner awareness. The thought spirit takes every true faith is the ultimate expression of alignment. It is the silent power that converts assumption into experience, inner certainty into outer manifestation. It does not need to be felt intensely, it simply needs to be known. And when it is known, the universe responds naturally, effortlessly, and inevitably. Detachment from timing is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful principles of manifestation. Most people believe that the realization of a desire is dependent on a strict timetable, a sequence of events, or their own ability to force circumstances to align. They measure progress by external markers and grow anxious when the desired outcome does not appear on schedule. This attachment to timing is the very obstacle that delays fulfillment. True detachment, however, liberates the process. It allows what is already established in consciousness to express itself naturally in the external world. Detachment from timing does not mean passivity or neglect. It does not suggest ignoring your goals or ceasing inspired action. Rather, it is a conscious recognition that the universe operates beyond your perception of time. What you have assumed in your mind, what you have already accepted as real, is independent of the calendar, the clock, or the sequence of events you imagine. The manifestation is already complete in the inner realm. Your only task is to maintain a state that reflects that completion. Clinging to timing creates inattention. When you insist that your desire must appear by a certain moment, you are essentially arguing with life, implying that the natural order is insufficient. This inner struggle generates doubt, frustration, and impatience. These emotions are counterproductive because they are misaligned with the state of having. Detachment, on the other hand, fosters calm and trust. When you release control over timing, you stop resisting the present moment, and your energy flows freely. Fulfillment is then allowed to appear in the most harmonious way, often surpassing your limited expectations. Detachment also strengthens faith. The mind no longer vacillates between hope and despair, between expectation and fear. Instead, it rests in the quiet knowledge that what is already assumed cannot fail to appear. Time becomes irrelevant because you understand that manifestation is a matter of inner alignment, not chronological scheduling. The outer world is simply a mirror reflecting the state you occupy within. By detaching from timing, you remove the mental obstacles that cloud perception and delay the reflection of your desire. Detachment creates receptivity. When you are free from the pressure of deadlines, you are more open to opportunities, guidance, and unexpected channels through which your desire can manifest. The universe responds naturally to a mind that is settled and patient. The manifestation arrives with ease, without struggle, because nothing is being forced and everything is allowed. Detachment from timing is the art of aligning with the inevitable. It is the recognition that fulfillment is already established in consciousness and that the outer world will conform in its perfect moment. By letting go of timelines and surrendering the when, you create space for the effortless expression of your desire. Peace replaces urgency, trust replaces worry, and life unfolds in accordance with the law that what is yours will appear, always, inevitably, and beautifully. Inner alignment is the cornerstone of effortless manifestation. Most people attempt to create change through external effort, striving, forcing, or trying to manipulate circumstances to conform to their desires. Yet, true transformation does not begin outside. It begins within. Alignment is the state in which your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and assumptions are all synchronized with the reality you wish to experience. When this inner harmony is achieved, resistance dissolves automatically because opposition exists only where there is misalignment. Resistance is not an external condition, it is a reflection of inner discord. Doubt, fear, and frustration arise when the conscious mind desires one thing while the subconscious mind clings to a conflicting assumption. This inner conflict generates tension, uncertainty, and struggle in life. The outer world simply mirrors this state, presenting obstacles that appear to justify your lack of progress. But the obstacles are not the source of difficulty. They are the signal pointing to what must be harmonized within. When you align internally, resistance loses its grip, because nothing inside is opposing the expression of your desire. Inner alignment requires clarity of assumption. It demands that you fully accept in thought and feeling the reality of what you wish to experience. This means imagining, believing, and feeling from the state of the wish fulfilled, rather than from the vantage point of lack. Alignment is not about forcing the mind to think positively or pushing away negative thoughts. It is about establishing a stable, unwavering assumption that serves as the foundation for experience. Once this foundation is in place, resistance, the tension between what is assumed and what is desired, vanishes naturally. Emotions play a crucial role in alignment. When your feelings resonate with the reality you wish to create, you are no longer generating friction in the field of consciousness. Calm expectancy replaces anxiety, confidence replaces doubt, and peace replaces struggle. These emotional states are not manufactured. They arise naturally from the certainty that your desire is already accomplished at a deeper level. Alignment is therefore effortless because it is not about controlling the world. It is about embodying the inner truth that what is already yours must express itself outwardly. Inner alignment also transforms perception. Challenges and delays no longer appear as threats or barriers. They are neutral events passing through a mind that remains centered in its own assumption. The outer world conforms automatically because the inner state dictates the pattern of experience. When there is no internal resistance, there is nothing to reflect externally that contradicts the fulfillment of your desire. Inner alignment is the silent engine of manifestation. It eliminates the need for struggle, for chasing, or for convincing life to cooperate. Resistance cannot exist where harmony is complete. By cultivating alignment, you allow your desires to flow naturally into expression, effortlessly, without force, and in perfect timing. The moment you align within, the outer world begins to yield to your inner reality, proving that all true power resides in the state of consciousness you choose to maintain. Receiving is never a matter of chasing, forcing, or convincing the outer world to comply. It is a natural outcome when identity aligns with expectation. Most people believe that they must earn, struggle, or wait for circumstances to change before they are ready to receive. In reality, the capacity to receive is determined not by external conditions, but by the state of consciousness you inhabit. When your identity, the version of yourself you assume to be real, matches the expectation of fulfillment, receiving flows effortlessly as a natural reflection of who you are. Identity is the foundation of experience. Whatever you consistently identify with becomes your point of attraction, your lens through which life is filtered. If you see yourself as someone lacking, struggling, or unworthy, the world will mirror that perception, and opportunities will be filtered through doubt and limitation. On the other hand, when you assume the identity of one who already possesses, the expectation of fulfillment becomes coherent with your sense of self. The alignment between identity and expectation generates a state in which receiving is not exceptional, it is ordinary, inevitable, and natural. Expectation is the mental and emotional companion to identity. It is the quiet certainty that what you desire is already yours, expressed in thought, feeling, and assumption. When your inner world expects completion, the outer world responds. Receiving is never delayed or blocked when identity and expectation are synchronized. Resistance, hesitation, and uncertainty arise only when there is a mismatch. When the mind expects one thing, but the sense of self identifies with another, this conflict creates friction, and the outer world mirrors it. Harmony, however, dissolves that friction effortlessly. When identity matches expectation, you no longer need to chase outcomes. Opportunities, resources, and experiences present themselves spontaneously because your inner state resonates with the reality you have assumed. The act of receiving becomes effortless, not because life has been manipulated, but because the outer world naturally conforms to the inner. You embody the energy of having, and having attracts itself into expression. The outer is always a reflection of the inner. When alignment is complete, manifestation is automatic. This principle also transforms your relationship with waiting, timing, and desire. You no longer feel incomplete while anticipating fulfillment. You live from the end, enjoying the state of the wish fulfilled. Your actions, words, and emotions reflect completion rather than lack. And this vibrational harmony allows life to deliver without struggle. Receiving is no longer a goal, It is a natural expression of your assumed reality. The universe does not need to convince you or teach you a lesson. It simply responds to the reality you are embodying. Releasing is a mirror of identity. When who you are matches what you expect, fulfillment is inevitable. The act of receiving flows effortlessly, gracefully, and naturally, because there is no internal conflict to obstruct it. Align the self with expectation, and the world aligns in return. The moment your identity embodies the reality you desire, receiving becomes effortless, as simple and natural as breathing, proving that you are always ready to experience what you already are. In conclusion, the path to fulfillment is not found in struggle, external effort, or waiting for the right circumstances. It begins within, in the quiet recognition that what you desire is already yours at a deeper level of consciousness. Desire signals possession, readiness is an inner state, and faith is the calm certainty that removes all doubt. Detachment from timing allows manifestation to unfold naturally, while inner alignment dissolves resistance automatically. When your identity matches your expectation, receiving becomes effortless, natural, and inevitable. Life responds not to your chasing, but to the state of being you maintain, reflecting back to you the reality you have already assumed. By embodying these principles, you align yourself with the effortless flow of fulfillment, moving through life with confidence, peace, and certainty. Thank you. This moment changes everything, not because the world has suddenly shifted, but because you are deciding to see, feel, and receive differently. Transformation does not begin with effort, waiting, or improvement. It begins with acceptance. It begins when you stop preparing to receive and start receiving now. Life is not asking you to become worthy someday. It is responding to what you assume to be true about yourself in this very instant. Every moment you have ever experienced was shaped by an inner state that came first. Before events appeared, before circumstances formed, there was a quiet assumption within you, an expectation, a feeling, a knowing. You were never reacting to life, you were expressing what you believed life to be. And if that is true, then this moment holds extraordinary power. Because the moment you shift your inner stance, everything rearranges to match it. Receiving boldly does not mean forcing outcomes or demanding results. It means relaxing into certainty. It means dropping the habit of hesitation and choosing to occupy the state of fulfillment now. When you receive boldly, you no longer ask, when will it come? You ask, how would I feel if it were already mine? And once that feeling is assumed, the question dissolves, because the answer has already been accepted. Many people delay their lives by believing they must first see proof. But proof is not the cause, it is the effect. Reality follows identity. When you see yourself as one who receives easily, life confirms it. When you see yourself as one who must struggle, life reflects that too. The difference is never outside, it is always the position you take within. Bold receiving is an act of inner courage. It requires letting go of old stories about limitation, timing, and deserving. It requires releasing the idea that fulfillment must arrive dramatically or through hardship. In truth, what is meant for you moves naturally toward you the moment you stop resisting it with doubt. The unseen does not need your effort. It needs your consent. This moment changes everything because it is the moment you decide to live from the end, not toward it. You stop reaching and start resting. You stop hoping and start knowing. The inner shift may feel subtle, but its impact is absolute. Once the feeling of fulfillment becomes familiar, the world has no option but to echo it. When you allow yourself to begin, you echo it, receive boldly now, not tomorrow, not after conditions improve, now. Because now is when identity is chosen, assumptions are set, and reality takes its cue. When you allow yourself to receive without hesitation, life responds without delay. This moment is not passing you by, it is offering you everything, waiting only for your acceptance. The present moment is the only point of creative power because it is the only moment in which consciousness is alive and active. The past exists only as memory, and the future exists only as imagination. Neither has the ability to act, respond, or create. All creation happens now through what you are aware of, what you feel to be true, and what you accept as real in this instant. The moment you understand this, you stop looking backward for causes and stop waiting forward for permission. You realize that power has always been with you, concentrated in the present. What you assume in this moment sets the direction for what unfolds next. Life does not respond to what you wish for occasionally or think about passively. It responds to what you are being right now. Your inner state is the instruction you are constantly giving to reality. If you feel uncertain, life mirrors uncertainty. If you feel fulfilled, life moves to confirm fulfillment. The present moment is where this instruction is issued, and it is issued continuously, whether consciously or unconsciously. Most people unknowingly give their creative power away by believing that time creates change. They think things will improve later, once conditions shift or circumstances align. But time does not create, it only reveals. What is revealed tomorrow is born from what is assumed today. Waiting for the future to change without changing the present state is like expecting a different reflection without altering what stands before the mirror. The present moment is also the only place where identity can be chosen. You cannot become someone new in the past, and you cannot inhabit a state in the future. You can only claim it now. The moment you assume a new self-concept, you step into a new stream of experience. That assumption may feel quiet and internal, but it is more powerful than any external action because it changes the cause, not the effect. Creative power is not found in effort or struggle, it is found in alignment. When your thoughts, feelings, and inner conversations agree with the reality you wish to experience, creation becomes effortless. This alignment can only occur now. You do not need to fix yesterday or control tomorrow. You only need to occupy the feeling of the fulfilled desire in the present moment, and life reorganizes itself around that state. When you return your attention to the present, you reclaim authority over your experience. You stop reacting to appearances and start originating them. You recognize that every now is a doorway, and each doorway leads to a different outcome, depending on what you bring into it. By choosing awareness, certainty, and acceptance, now, you activate the only power that has ever created anything. The present moment is not just a point in time, it is the source from which all realities flow. Receiving is an inner decision, not an outer permission, because nothing outside of you has the authority to decide what you may experience. Life does not grant, approve, or withhold. It reflects. What appears as opportunity, abundance, love, or success is not released by circumstances, but revealed by inner acceptance. The moment you decide that something is allowed for you, reality begins arranging itself to confirm that decision. Most delays are not caused by external obstacles, but by internal hesitation. People wait for signs, validation, or approval before they allow themselves to feel fulfilled. They believe they must earn the right to receive through struggle, perfection, or time. Yet this waiting is itself the barrier. When you look to the outside for permission, you silently declare that you are not the source. And when you do that, life mirrors hesitation instead of flow. An inner decision is quiet but absolute. It does not argue, justify, or explain, it simply assumes. When you decide inwardly that you are someone who receives, your inner dialogue changes, your expectations soften, your reactions lose urgency. You stop asking, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" and begin moving as someone for whom it is natural. This shift may feel subtle, but it is decisive because reality responds to what feels normal to you, not to what you desire from a distance. Outer conditions often appear rigid, but they are far more flexible than they seem. What gives them their power is the meaning you assign to them. The moment you change that meaning, conditions begin to loosen. When you decide that you are not waiting to receive, but actively receiving now, the sense of struggle dissolves. You are no longer negotiating with life, you are accepting from it. Receiving does not require force or demand. It requires allowance. Allowance is an inner posture of openness, trust, and expectancy. It is a willingness to let good arrive without suspicion or fear. Many people unconsciously block their own receiving by feeling unworthy, unprepared, or uncertain. These feelings are not facts. They are habits of thought. The moment you decide differently, those habits lose their influence. The most powerful moment of receiving is when you stop asking whether it is possible and begin feeling as though it is done. This is not pretending or hoping, it is accepting. When acceptance becomes your inner state, life responds effortlessly. You find yourself in the right place, meeting the right people, encountering the right opportunities without strain. Receiving is not something that happens to you. It is something you permit. And permission is always given within. When you choose to receive boldly, without waiting for proof, you activate a natural flow that has always been available. The outer world does not decide your readiness. Your inner decision does. Assumption shapes reality before action ever begins because every action is preceded by an inner conclusion about what is possible, likely, or true. Long before you move, speak, or decide, you have already assumed something about yourself and about life. That assumption becomes the invisible framework through which all experiences are formed. Action does not create results on its own. It simply expresses the state you are already living from. Every person acts in alignment with what feels natural to them. What feels natural is not determined by logic or effort, but by assumption. If you assume success is difficult, your actions carry hesitation, tension, and doubt. If you assume success is inevitable, your actions become calm, direct, and confident. The difference is not the action itself, but the state behind it. Reality responds to the state, not the strain. Most people try to change outcomes by forcing behavior while leaving their assumptions untouched. This creates resistance. They push, plan, and try harder, yet feel blocked or delayed. The unseen cause remains the same, so the visible effect repeats. When assumption changes, however, action reorganizes itself automatically. You do not need to force new habits. They arise naturally from a new inner position. Assumption also determines what you notice and what you ignore. Life presents countless possibilities, but you only perceive the ones that align with what you already believe. When you assume opportunity, you recognize openings others overlook. When you assume limitation, even open doors appear closed. The world has not changed. Your lens has. That lens is set by assumption long before any physical movement takes place. Before action begins, the outcome has already been accepted internally. This is why two people can take similar actions and experience entirely different results. One moves from trust, the other from fear. One expects support, the other expects resistance. Life mirrors these expectations with precision. Action simply gives form to what assumption has already selected. Changing assumption does not require struggle or repetition of effort. It requires recognition. The moment you become aware of the state you are assuming, you regain choice. You can decide to occupy a different inner position now. When you do, action feels lighter, clearer, and more effective because it is no longer compensating for doubt. It is flowing from certainty. The most powerful action is alignment. When you assume the feeling of the desired reality before it appears, you step into harmony with it. From that state, inspired actions emerge effortlessly, and sometimes no action is needed at all. Things happen through you rather than because of you. Assumption is the silent beginning of every result. Change it, and the entire sequence that follows must change as well. Reality does not wait for action to begin shaping itself. It responds instantly to what you have already accepted as true. Goal reception dissolves delay and struggle, because waiting and effort are often signs of inner resistance, not external obstacles. When you hesitate to receive, you unconsciously signal that what you desire is distant, difficult, or uncertain. Life responds to that signal by mirroring distance and delay. The moment you receive boldly, you remove the inner friction that was slowing everything down. Struggle is rarely about the task itself. It is about the belief that something must be earned through strain. This belief creates tension, urgency, and impatience. You push against life instead of moving with it. Bold reception shifts this dynamic entirely. It replaces effort with acceptance. Instead of asking how long it will take or what else must be done, you settle into the feeling that it is already yours. That inner settlement changes the pace of everything. Delay is not imposed by time, it is sustained by doubt. Doubt keeps the mind oscillating between hope and fear, creating inconsistency in expectation. Life reflects this inconsistency as interruptions, setbacks, or slow movement. When you receive boldly, doubt loses its footing. There is no inner debate, no second guessing. There is simply a calm assumption that what is desired belongs to you now. From that state, events begin to align smoothly and naturally. Bold reception does not mean impatience or demand. It means certainty. It is a quiet confidence that does not rush because it does not fear loss. When you know something is yours, you do not chase it. You allow it. This allowance creates space for life to move without resistance. Opportunities arrive without force. Solutions appear without struggle. What once felt heavy begins to feel inevitable. Many people unknowingly extend struggle by trying to control the process. They monitor progress, measure time, and react emotionally to appearances. Each reaction reinforces the idea that fulfillment is not yet secure. Bold reception ends this cycle by withdrawing attention from lack and placing it on completion. You stop watching the clock and start living as though the outcome is settled. You start living as though the outcome is settled. When reception becomes bold, the nervous system relaxes. The mind stops grasping. This inner relaxation is not passive. It is powerful. It signals readiness, trust, and alignment. Life responds to this signal with speed, not because you forced anything, but because nothing is blocking the flow anymore. The moment you allow yourself to receive without conditions, struggle becomes unnecessary. You realize that ease was always available, waiting for your consent. Delay dissolves, not when circumstances change, but when your inner posture changes. Bold reception is that shift. It is the decision to stop waiting, stop proving, and start allowing now. Feeling fulfilled precedes visible change because reality is an outer echo of an inner condition. What appears in your world is not the cause of your state, but the result of it. Fulfillment is not something you experience after life changes. It is something you assume before life has any reason to reflect it. When fulfillment is established within, the outer world must follow, because it has no independent direction of its own. Most people reverse this order. They wait for circumstances to improve before allowing themselves to feel satisfied, secure, or whole. This waiting silently affirms that fulfillment is absent now. Life responds to that affirmation by maintaining the appearance of lack. The cycle continues not because fulfillment is impossible, but because it is being postponed inwardly. Change cannot precede the state that causes it. Feeling fulfilled does not mean ignoring reality or pretending problems do not exist. It means choosing the emotional and mental position of completion, regardless of appearances. When you feel fulfilled, you are no longer seeking validation from outcomes. You are grounded in a sense of enoughness. This inner stability removes urgency and desperation, which are the very energies that delay change. Fulfillment changes how you move through life. Decisions become clearer, reactions soften, you stop overthinking and start responding naturally. From this state, actions are aligned rather than forced. Often the right steps appear without conscious effort, and sometimes circumstances shift without any action at all. This is because the cause has already been set. Visible change requires an invisible shift first. Just as a seed grows unseen before breaking the surface, your inner state must change before the outer world can reveal anything new. The feeling of fulfillment is that unseen growth. It may not be dramatic, but it is decisive. Once it is established, the outer form is inevitable. When you feel fulfilled now, you send a clear message to life. Nothing is missing. Life responds by arranging conditions that match that message. Opportunities appear that feel natural rather than surprising. Relationships reflect ease instead of tension. Resources flow without struggle. These changes are not sudden miracles. They are confirmations of a state you have already occupied. The mind often resists this idea because it equates fulfillment with complacency. In truth, fulfillment is the highest form of readiness. It signals confidence, trust, and alignment. It is not the end of desire, but the fulfillment of it internally, which frees life to express it externally. Every lasting change begins with a feeling. When that feeling is fulfillment, the change that follows is stable and effortless. The world cannot help but mirror what you consistently feel to be true. When fulfillment becomes your inner home, visible change becomes unavoidable. Identity determines what you allow into your life because your self-concept acts as an internal filter for every experience you encounter. You do not receive according to what you want, hope for, or even work toward. You receive according to who you believe yourself to be. What feels acceptable, natural, or possible to you is decided by identity, long before circumstances appear. Life simply agrees with the image you hold of yourself. Your identity sets the boundaries of your expectations. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you unconsciously reject ease when it approaches. If you see yourself as someone who must prove worth, you delay receiving until effort feels sufficient. These reactions are not conscious choices. They are automatic responses rooted in self-definition. You are not being denied. You are allowing only what matches your inner agreement. What you allow feels normal to you. This is why certain opportunities, relationships, or outcomes seem to arrive effortlessly for some and feel unreachable for others. The difference is not luck or timing, it is self-permission. When something aligns with your identity, you accept it without question. When it does not, you hesitate, overthink, or sabotage, even if you desire it deeply. Identity also shapes how you interpret events. The same situation can feel like confirmation or rejection depending on who you assume yourself to be. A delay can feel like failure to one person and alignment to another. A challenge can feel like proof of limitation or evidence of growth. These interpretations are not random, they are consistent with identity. Life reflects this consistency faithfully. Changing what you allow does not begin with controlling behavior or circumstances. It begins with redefining self-concept. When you shift how you see yourself, your standards change automatically. You no longer tolerate what contradicts your new identity, and you no longer resist what supports it. This shift feels internal, but its effects are immediate and external. The moment you identify as someone who receives easily, ease stops feeling foreign. The moment you identify as someone worthy of success, success no longer feels intimidating. You stop bracing for disappointment and start expecting alignment. From this state, life opens without force because resistance has dissolved. Identity is not fixed. It is assumed moment by moment. Every inner conversation either reinforces an old self-illusion or introduces a new one. When you consciously choose your identity, you reclaim authority over what enters your experience. You are no longer reacting to life, you are setting the terms. What you allow into your life is not controlled by circumstances, other people, or chance. It is governed by who you believe yourself to be. Change the identity and permission expands. When identity aligns with fulfillment, life has no choice but to meet you there. Identity determines what you allow into your life because your self-perception quietly governs every yes and no you make, even when you believe you are acting logically. You do not evaluate experiences neutrally. You measure them against an inner definition of who you are and what belongs to you. Whatever agrees with that definition is welcomed with ease, while anything that contradicts it is questioned, delayed, or dismissed, no matter how desirable it appears. Your identity shapes your comfort zone, and your comfort zone determines your reality. What feels comfortable is not always what is best, but it is always what is familiar. If struggle is familiar, ease feels suspicious. If inconsistency is familiar, stability feels foreign. These reactions are not conscious resistance. They are automatic protections of identity. You unconsciously protect who you believe you are, even when that belief limits you. Life continuously offers possibilities, but you only receive the ones that feel permissible. Permission is not granted by circumstances or other people. It is granted by self-concept. When you believe you are worthy, supported, and capable, you allow good things to arrive without interrogation. When you believe you must earn, fight, or wait, You impose conditions on receiving. Life follows those conditions precisely. Identity also determines how long you allow situations to remain unchanged. If you identify as someone who endures, you tolerate dissatisfaction longer than necessary. If you identify as someone who expects alignment, you adjust quickly when something no longer matches your inner standard. This is not arrogance, it is clarity. Your identity sets the baseline for what you consider acceptable. Many people attempt to change outcomes without changing identity. They try to think positively while still seeing themselves as limited. This creates inner conflict. Results may improve temporarily, but they rarely stabilize. Lasting change requires a shift in who you are being, not just what you are doing. When identity changes, behavior, choices, and outcomes follow effortlessly. Identity is reinforced through inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself, the expectations you quietly hold, and the stories you repeat all shape what you allow. Every time you accept less than what you desire, you strengthen an old self-image. Every time you allow yourself to feel fulfilled now, you introduce a new one. The most powerful change happens when you decide that your identity no longer includes lack, waiting, or struggle. You do not need to prove this decision to anyone. The moment it feels true internally, your standards shift. You stop negotiating with life and start allowing it to meet you differently. What enters your life is not random, it is invited by identity. When you redefine yourself from the inside, permission expands naturally. Life responds not to effort, but to self-recognition. When you see yourself as someone who receives, life treats you accordingly. Everything you have heard points to one simple truth. Nothing changes until you do, and the moment you do, everything else must follow. Creation does not happen through force, waiting, or effort. It happens through awareness, assumption, and identity. The present moment is your point of power. What you decide to receive inwardly becomes the pattern life reflects outwardly. When you stop asking for permission, stop postponing fulfillment, and stop defining yourself by old limitations, reality has no choice but to rearrange itself in response. This is not about becoming someone new in the future. It is about recognizing who you are now. When you assume fulfillment, receive boldly, and allow yourself to live from certainty rather than hope, struggle dissolves and delay loses its meaning. Identity sets the standard, feeling sets the direction, and the present moment activates the shift. From that alignment, change becomes natural, effortless, and inevitable. You are not here to chase outcomes. You are here to embody the state from which outcomes flow. The moment you choose that state, life meets you there. Thank you. Today I want you to breathe and remember something profound. What you desire is already complete, not being prepared, not slowly forming, but finished, fully formed, in the unseen, waiting for you to meet it. Every desire that rises within you is not a request, it is a revelation. It reveals what already exists for you in a higher dimension. You are not trying to create anything. You are only awakening to what has already been created for you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the version of you who already has what you want. The relationship, the abundance, the health, the success, the peace. See that version. Feel that version. Become that version in consciousness. Because the moment you do, your world must obey. Your imagination is not a fantasy. It is the spiritual workshop where all things take shape. What you assume as true with feeling becomes the law of your life. The outer world has no choice but to reflect your inner conviction. So if you've been waiting, worrying, doubting, or wondering when will it happen, stop. The question is not when. The question is who. Who are you being right now? Are you the version of yourself who hopes, or the version who knows? Because the one who knows receives. There is a point in your journey where you stop praying from lack and start declaring from fulfillment, where you stop asking and start accepting, where you stop begging and begin embodying. That is when everything shifts. That is when the bridge of events begins to unfold. And hear me clearly, your manifestation has already entered your reality. The moment you assumed it in consciousness, the moment you claimed it as done, the moment you felt it real, the entire universe began rearranging itself to deliver that reflection into your physical world. You may not see it yet, you may not feel the full weight of it, but the roots have already broken through the soil of the unseen. The evidence is moving toward you. The people, the opportunities, the alignments, the timing, it's all being orchestrated with precision. Your only job now is to assume the state of the one who already has it. Walk like it's done. Think like it's done. Feel like it's done. Give thanks like it's done. And watch how quickly your reality bends to match your inner knowing. Do not chase, do not force, do not doubt. You do not manifest by effort, you manifest by identity. When you become the version of you who has the thing has no choice but to appear. So today, let this truth settle deep within you. It is done. Already done. Completed. Finished. All you are doing now is aligning, receiving, and stepping into the version of reality that has been waiting for you all along. Your manifestation is not coming, it's arriving. It's unfolding. It's entering your world right now. Live from the end, and the end will show up. Because in the realm of consciousness, you already have it. Creation begins in imagination, because your inner world is the true birthplace of every experience you will ever live. Long before something becomes visible, long before it enters the physical dimension, it first exists as an idea, a picture, a feeling, an inner assumption. Your imagination is not a passive daydreaming tool. It is the most powerful creative force you possess. It is the workshop where the unseen becomes inevitable. When you imagine something with conviction, you are not hoping for it, you are forming it. You are shaping the structure of your reality on an invisible level. Everything you have ever experienced began as an image within someone's mind. Every home, every invention, every relationship, every achievement, every breakthrough. All of it existed in imagination before it existed in matter. What makes imagination so powerful is that it bypasses limitations. It doesn't ask, how will this happen? It doesn't require physical proof. It doesn't need permission, resources, or validation. Imagination simply creates, it generates the end result instantly, with no resistance, no delay, no obstacles. And the moment you hold that inner picture with feeling, you give it life. You breathe energy into it. You begin a chain reaction that the physical world must eventually follow. Your outer world is not independent of you, it is a mirror. It reflects the assumptions you persistently hold within. When you imagine with conviction, you are not merely fantasizing, you are instructing the universe. You are sending out a blueprint of the reality you expect to experience. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to your inner certainty. It never mirrors what you want, it mirrors what you know to be true in imagination. When the inner world becomes more real to you than the outer world, the outer must change. It has no choice because it is the effect, not the cause. This is why imagination must be felt. A picture without emotion is just a thought, but a picture infused with belief, gratitude, and felt completion becomes a creative command. Feeling is the magnet. Feeling is the energy that turns an inner image into a physical manifestation. When you imagine the end result and feel the satisfaction of having it now, you step into the identity of the one who already possesses it. Once your identity shifts, your reality must shift to match it. The beautiful truth is that imagination frees you from the constraints of time. In imagination, everything is now. There is no waiting, no distance, no separation between you and your desire. You can experience the end in perfect detail, the sounds, the emotions, the surroundings, the reactions. And the moment you do, you claim it as yours. Your mind doesn't distinguish between what is physically seen and what is vividly imagined. It accepts both as reality. And once your mind accepts the imagined end as true, life begins to orchestrate the path, the people, the circumstances, the timing that bring it into physical expression. So when you imagine with conviction, you are not pretending. You are creating. You are stepping into the role of the architect of your own life, shaping the unseen foundation upon which your future will be built. Imagination is not the beginning of creation, it is the creation. The physical world is only the final confirmation of what you have already made real within. Desire is not a sign of lack, it is evidence of completion. The moment a desire rises within you, it is not something you must chase, earn, or struggle to create. It is a signal from the deeper part of your being that what you want is already formed in the unseen. Desire is the bridge between what already exists in a higher dimension and your awareness of it in this one. You do not desire what is impossible for you. You do not desire what is absent. You only desire what is already yours in another state of consciousness. Think of desire as a spiritual announcement. When you feel the pull towards something, a vision, a dream, a relationship, a lifestyle, a level of abundance, that pull is not random. It is the echo of fulfillment calling you toward itself. The desire appears only because the completion has already been established on an inner plane. It is your soul saying, "This is the next version of you. Step into it." You are not trying to create the manifestation. You are aligning with the version of yourself who is already living it. Nothing within you longs for something that doesn't belong to you. The universe is not cruel. It does not show you the possibility without simultaneously preparing the path. If a desire sparks within, it means the way has already been made. The outcome is already secure. Your desire is the signpost pointing to what is done. What you call a dream is actually memory. Memory from the unseen realm where the fulfillment already exists in completion. This is why desire feels magnetic. It pulls you. It won't let you rest. It keeps revealing itself because it already belongs to you. The desire persists not to torment you, but to keep you aligned with the higher version of your own being. It's not asking you to figure out the how. It's only asking you to accept the truth that if you desire it, you are meant for it. The how will unfold once you accept the inner completion. Most people misunderstand desire. They think desire means something is missing, something they don't have. But the deeper truth is the opposite. Desire means it is already done. You feel desire because your inner reality and your outer reality are no longer in harmony. The inner you knows something the outer you has not yet seen. That tension creates desire, the longing to bridge the gap between your current identity and your fulfilled identity. When you understand this, desire becomes sacred instead of stressful. You stop chasing and start receiving. You stop begging and start allowing. You stop looking outside and start listening within. The moment you honor a desire as proof of fulfillment, you shift into the state of expectancy. And expectancy is the doorway through which manifestations enter the physical world. So let your desires reassure you. Let them remind you that life has already agreed with what you want. You are being guided toward what is yours. The desire is the evidence. The completion is already waiting. All you must do is align with it, accept it, and allow the outer world to reveal what has already been declared true within. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to step into the reality of your desire before it appears physically. It means choosing to feel now what you would naturally feel if your desire were already accomplished. This is not pretending, and it is not self-delusion. It is the most powerful creative act you can perform. Feeling is the bridge because emotion is the language of the subconscious mind, and the subconscious is the birthplace of all manifestation. When you embody the emotional state of the fulfilled wish, you are instructing your inner world to create conditions that match that feeling. Most people wait for physical evidence before they allow themselves to feel satisfied, grateful, secure, or joyful. But manifestation works in the opposite direction. The outer world does not create your inner feelings. Your inner feelings create the outer world. When you feel the end result as real, your subconscious accepts that feeling as truth. Once accepted, it begins to reorganize your beliefs, your self-concept, your behaviors, and even your external circumstances to match that inner assumption. It draws people, opportunities, timing, and events into alignment with the state you have already claimed internally. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled requires imagination and faith, but not effort. You do not need to strain or force the feeling. Instead, you gently sink into the emotional atmosphere of already having what you want. If your desire is wealth, you feel the ease and security of abundance. If your desire is love, you feel cherished and connected. If your desire is healing, you feel wholeness and vitality. The key is not to visualize perfectly or repeat affirmations endlessly. The key is to feel the reality of the fulfilled desire in your body, even if only for a few moments at a time. This feeling becomes the seed of your manifestation. Every time you return to it, you water that seed. You reinforce the inner state that must eventually be reflected outward. The feeling is the cause, the physical manifestation is the effect. In truth, you are not waiting for the desire. The desire is waiting for you to feel it real. Once you shift your inner emotional state, you step into the identity of the person who already has the manifestation. An identity is destiny. You experience in life not what you want, but who you are being. The beauty of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is that it frees you from the need to control the how or when. You no longer search for signs because the feeling itself becomes the sign. You no longer worry about timing because you already feel the completion. You are not hoping, wishing, or wanting. You are knowing. And this inner knowing begins to shape your world quietly, subtly, inevitably. When you live from the feeling of the fulfilled desire, you are no longer aligned with lack. You are aligned with completion. You stop reacting to the world and start creating from within. And the moment your inner world stabilizes in that state, the physical world must catch up. The bridge between the invisible and the visible is built by emotion, the emotion of already having what you desire. This is the secret. This is the power. This is the path by which the unseen becomes seen. The unseen is more real than the seen, because everything in your physical world is a delayed reflection of what has already taken place within you. Your inner world, your thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, emotions, and imaginal acts, is the true source of every experience you encounter. The physical world is not the cause, it is the effect. It is a mirror that can only reflect what you persistently accept as true inside yourself. Most people misunderstand this and try to change the mirror instead of changing the face that stands before it. They fight circumstances, resist conditions, and struggle with outer situations, forgetting that all of these are shadows cast by the inner state they continue to occupy. Your imagination, your conviction, and your inner dialogue create the structure of your life long before you see the results. You are constantly generating unseen causes in the quiet of your mind, the things you repeat to yourself, the identity you accept, the fears you dwell on, the desires you nurture, the emotional atmosphere you carry. All of this creates the blueprint that your outer world must follow. Nothing happens externally that wasn't first formed internally. Every breakthrough, every challenge, every victory, every setback, it all originates in consciousness. Because if it happens, it's what the unseen is more real because it is the original. The seen is simply the copy. Your inner assumptions are the laws that govern your reality. If you assume that life works out for you, it will. If you assume that you are loved, opportunities appear that reflect that assumption. If you assume that abundance is natural for you, your world rearranges to confirm your expectation. Conversely, if you assume struggle, rejection, or limitation, the outer world will faithfully mirror that too. The mirror does not argue, it does not judge, it does not choose, it simply reflects. When you understand that the unseen is the true cause, you stop being intimidated by appearances. You stop reacting to circumstances as if they have final authority over your life. You understand that what you see now is merely the physical residue of previous thoughts and assumptions, echoes of states you have already moved through. This gives you incredible power because it means that no matter what the outer world shows you, you can always create a different inner state, and the outer world must eventually catch up. The moment you shift your inner world, the outer begins to rearrange. People act differently, opportunities emerge, obstacles dissolve, timelines shift, synchronicities appear. It may seem sudden or miraculous, but all of it stems from the unseen change you made within yourself. Reality bends to your inner state, not the other way around. This is why the most important work you will ever do is internal. The world outside of you is only ever responding to the world inside of you. When you master your inner assumptions, you master your life. When you honor the unseen as the real power, you stop chasing results and start cultivating states of being. Everything you desire already exists in potential form within the unseen. Your job is to align with it internally until the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Persistence is the force that shapes reality, because it is through sustained inner conviction that the outer world is compelled to reorganize itself. When you persist in the assumption of your desired outcome, even when physical evidence contradicts it, you are demonstrating mastery over appearances. You are affirming that your inner world has greater authority than anything your senses currently perceive. Persistence is not about effort, struggle, or forcing something to happen. It is about refusing to abandon the state of the wish fulfilled. It is the quiet, unwavering decision to remain loyal to the inner truth you have accepted, no matter what the outer world shows you. Meanwhile, the greatest sages are not those who forget. The greatest teachers are not those. Most people allow their environment to dictate their beliefs. They look at what is happening around them and shape their inner assumptions based on those circumstances. But true creators reverse this process. Instead of letting reality influence their inner state, they allow their inner state to influence reality. Persistence is the bridge between the unseen assumption and the seen manifestation. It keeps you aligned with the end result until the world mirrors your conviction. When you persist, you are not trying to overpower the world, you are simply refusing to be moved by temporary appearances. You understand that the physical world is slow-moving and delayed, reacting only after your inner world has stabilized. So, even when circumstances seem unchanged or even get worse, persistence means you do not shift your assumption. You continue to believe, imagine, and feel the fulfillment of your desire because you know that your assumption is the real cause. And the seen world is just the echo. There is extraordinary power in this. Your persistence tells the subconscious mind that your desire is non-negotiable. And once the subconscious accepts something as true, it sets in motion every necessary event, encounter, and circumstance to bring it into your physical experience. People may call it luck, coincidence, or divine timing, but the truth is much simpler. It was your persistence that summoned the manifestation. Persistence also transforms you internally. As you hold the assumption of the fulfilled wish, you gradually become the version of yourself who has the desire. Your thoughts shift, your emotions shift, your habits shift, your self-concept evolves. When you embody this new identity consistently, the external world has no choice but to align with it. Reality bends to your internal transformation. The greatest challenge is ignoring appearances that contradict your desire. But those appearances are not final. They are simply remnants of old assumptions. They fade as soon as you refuse to give them power. When you persist, you withdraw your attention from the old reality and feed the new one with your focus and feeling. What you feed grows. Persistence is not a battle, it is devotion. It is choosing your inner truth over outer illusions. It is choosing the end result over temporary setbacks. It is choosing the unseen completion over the seen delay. And when you persist long enough for your inner state to become natural, the manifestation appears effortlessly, inevitably, in perfect timing. Your manifestation is not something that needs to be built, achieved, or attracted. It is already done. The moment the desire arose within you, its completion was established in the unseen. You are not waiting for the universe to create it. The universe is waiting for you to align with it. Manifestation is not a process of bringing something from nothing. It is a process of stepping into the version of yourself that is already living the reality you want. Everything you seek already exists in consciousness, fully formed, complete, and ready for you to embody. When you understand that your manifestation is finished, your entire approach to life changes. You stop chasing results. You stop begging for signs. You stop wondering when it will come. Instead, you begin to realize that you are moving toward an already completed outcome, not trying to force one into existence. Every thought, every decision, every emotional shift is guiding you closer to the version of yourself who has already received what you desire. This version of you is not theoretical. It exists in the quantum field of infinite possibilities, and your state of being determines which version you merge with. You do not manifest through effort. You manifest through identity. If you continue to see yourself as the one who wants, waits, or hopes, you remain in the state of lack. But the moment you shift into the identity of the one who has, everything accelerates. Your thoughts change naturally. Your behaviors align effortlessly. Opportunities that match your fulfilled state begin to appear without struggle. The world reflects your inner conclusion. This is why feeling is so important. When you feel the desire fulfilled, you are not imagining something that might happen. You are tuning into what is already done. Think of it like tuning a radio. The station you want is already broadcasting. You simply adjust your frequency until you receive its signal. Your manifestation is broadcasting. Your job is to tune yourself to the reality where it already exists. You do this by assuming the end, feeling the completion, and moving as though it is true now. This alignment creates a shift that the outer world cannot ignore. People begin to respond to you differently. Circumstances start to rearrange. Invitations, ideas, and sudden changes begin to appear. These are not random. They are the natural consequences of entering the state where your desire is already a fact. You are meeting what you have already created, step by step, moment by moment. The more you embody the version of yourself who already has the manifestation, the faster the physical world adjusts. It may feel magical, but it is simply the law. The outer must conform to the inner. When you finally release the idea of waiting and embrace the truth of completion, you dissolve resistance. You stop blocking the flow. You let the manifestation enter your world in the smoothest, most natural way. To remind yourself, you are not trying to make something happen. You are moving into alignment with what is already yours. You are walking toward the version of yourself that has been calling you. Your manifestation is not on the way. You are on the way to it. It is finished. It is done. And you are simply stepping into the reality that has been prepared for you all along. As we bring this message to a close, remember this truth. Everything you desire is not somewhere in the distant future. It is already done. Every vision, every dream, every wish you hold in your heart exists right now in the unseen. Your role is not to chase it, struggle for it, or demand it from the outside world. Your role is to assume it, feel it, and align with the version of yourself who already possesses it. The outer world will follow the inner reality you steadfastly maintain. Persistence, imagination, and feeling the end result are your keys to unlocking this truth. Step confidently into the reality that awaits you, knowing that what you have imagined and felt as true will manifest. Thank you for listening, for opening your mind, and for taking the first step toward living from the end. Your manifestation is ready, your reality is shifting, and your fulfilled life is waiting for you. There comes a sacred moment when life whispers, "Enough waiting, now it's time." You have walked through seasons that stripped you of things you thought would never leave. People, opportunities, peace, finances. They seemed to vanish. Yet nothing was truly lost. Everything that slipped from your hands was not stolen. It was being sanctified, refined, and realigned in the unseen to return greater than before. You are not in a season of loss. You are in a season of divine restoration. God has already set in motion a reversal in your favor. The same power that raised you once will raise you again, but higher. Every ending was an invitation to a beginning beyond your understanding. The pain that broke you was not punishment, it was preparation. The silence you endured was not emptiness, it was incubation. The seeming delays were divine recalibrations, ensuring that when the restoration comes, it will fit your destiny perfectly. You see, restoration begins not outside you, but within. The moment you change your inner perception, your outer reality begins to mirror it. When you stop seeing yourself as the one who lost and start seeing yourself as the one who has been restored, life rearranges itself to confirm your belief. The unseen responds to your faith. When you declare, "Everything I lost is returning to me in divine order," heaven begins to conspire for your good. You don't have to chase restoration. You have to embody it, feel it, see it, know it. Act as though it's already done, because it is. Every tear that fell was a seed. Every disappointment was a planting ground for new manifestation. God never allows subtraction without multiplication on the way. What seemed like the end was the ground clearing for the new structure being built. The very things that were removed were creating space for the extraordinary to enter. This is your moment. This is the hour when divine timing meets divine intention. Everything that felt wasted, time, energy, love, faith, is now returning to you multiplied. You are not going backward. You are being realigned with what was always yours. Do not dwell on the past. Speak to the now. Say within yourself, "I am restored. My life is flourishing again. Everything I thought I lost has returned in greater measure." When you affirm it in consciousness, creation must respond, for what you accept inwardly becomes fact outwardly. So lift your head. The chapter of lack is over. The cycle of restoration has begun. Doors you once knocked on are now opening from the inside. The opportunities you thought were gone are circling back, renewed, refined, and ready. Love is being rekindled, peace is being reinstated, and purpose is being reignited. This is your divine appointment. Not next year, not next month. Now, the power that governs all creation is turning in your favor. Everything is being restored, reorganized, and resurrected for your good. Walk as though it's already done. Speak as though it's already yours, because it is. You are stepping into the season of restoration. Your time is now. And restoration is not coming, it has already begun within you. The divine work is not something you are waiting for. It is something that has already been set in motion the moment you decided to believe again. Everything you thought was lost is not gone. It has simply shifted dimensions, moving from the visible to the invisible, from the seen to the unseen, awaiting your recognition. You are not standing outside the process of restoration. You are the center of it. The moment your awareness accepts that life is still working for you, the hidden order begins to rearrange itself in your favor. There is a sacred law that governs all creation. Nothing ever truly disappears. It only changes form. The relationships that ended, the opportunities that dissolved, the doors that closed, they are not your losses, but divine exchanges. What you once held in your hands is now being multiplied in the unseen, waiting for the signal of your faith to return greater than before. Every shift, every silence, every setback was an invisible preparation for a visible comeback. The world will tell you that you need to wait for signs, for evidence, for something tangible to prove that restoration is happening. But divine truth whispers otherwise. The restoration begins the moment you feel it within. When you dare to say it is already done, life begins to echo that declaration. The invisible responds to your conviction, not your condition. As long as you continue to see yourself as broken, life will mirror brokenness. But when you begin to see yourself as whole again, when you stand in the knowing that all has been restored, the outer world must bow to that new inner reality. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on your recognition. The unseen realm is not idle. It is alive with activity, rearranging, realigning, and restoring every fragment of your story. But it responds to awareness. You must awaken to the truth that you are not the victim of your past. You are the vessel of divine recreation. The seed of restoration is already planted in your consciousness, and your faith is the sunlight that draws it into form. Do not look back at what was, look within at what is being renewed. The restoration has already begun because the energy of life never pauses, it evolves. Every tear that fell watered the soil of new beginnings. Every prayer you whispered in silence set something sacred in motion. You do not need to force the process, you only need to align with it. Speak restoration, feel restoration, believe restoration. In this very moment, the universe is responding to your inner vision. The rearrangement has started. What was once chaotic is finding divine order. What was once empty is being filled. And what was once lost is returning, clothed in new glory. Everything you lost is not gone. It is simply waiting for you to see it again through the eyes of faith. The moment you recognize it, you will realize that the restoration never left. It has always been within you, unfolding quietly, faithfully, and perfectly. Nothing was ever truly lost. It was preparing to return multiplied. Every loss you experienced, every door that closed, every person who walked away, none of it was the end. It was transition disguised as loss. The divine never subtracts without the intention to multiply. What seemed taken was only being transformed, refined, and elevated to meet you at a higher level of consciousness. The universe never takes something away to leave you empty. It removes only what can no longer serve your next chapter. Everything that left your life was making room for something greater, purer, and more aligned with who you are becoming. When you look back on the things that faded, you may see pain and endings, but in the unseen realm, something sacred was taking place. The energy of what you lost was being restructured, its essence purified, its purpose renewed. What once felt like loss was divine redirection, guiding you from what was comfortable to what is destined. Every ending carried within it a hidden promise that what was removed would return, not as it was, but as something multiplied, matured, and magnified. Divine law never takes without giving greater. The scales of the universe are always balanced, though at times invisible to human eyes. When something leaves, something else is being prepared to arrive, greater in quality, deeper in meaning, and higher in vibration. The relationships that ended taught you self-worth. The opportunities that dissolved taught you faith. The silence that lingered taught you stillness. You were not being stripped, you were being strengthened. And in that strengthening, you became ready for more, for the multiplied return of what once seemed lost. Think of it as a seed buried beneath the soil. To the eye, it appears gone, consumed by the earth. But in truth, it is growing unseen, breaking apart to release its greater potential. The process looks like loss, but is actually transformation. So too, everything in your life that seemed to disappear was only going underground, preparing to rise again in multiplied form. You may not see it yet, but the return is inevitable. What was taken from one level will reappear in another, elevated and overflowing. Do not mourn what was, rejoice for what is being prepared. The divine does not withhold, it refines. The waiting is not punishment, it is protection. What is yours cannot be lost, it can only evolve. Every detour, every heartbreak, every delay was part of that divine refinement. The things you cried over are being reborn in beauty. The things you let go of returning with blessing. So release the need to cling to what was. Trust that the return is already in motion. The universe is not empty, it is abundant. It owes you nothing because it is already fulfilling its law, that nothing leaves your life without something greater on its way. What was removed is not gone, it is being refined to return in glory, carrying more love, more purpose, and more power than before. The seeming losses were never losses at all. They were divine investments waiting to pay back, multiplied. ChatGPT said, "You are the vessel of restoration. Everything you seek to regain, rebuild, or renew begins within you. The world outside is not the source of your restoration. It is merely the reflection of your inner state of consciousness. The moment you decide to see yourself as whole again, the universe begins to arrange itself in agreement with that vision. The outer world cannot resist the command of inner conviction. Life always mirrors the truth you hold about yourself. When you see yourself as broken, circumstances will echo that belief, showing you fragments and lack. But when you begin to perceive yourself as restored, as someone who has already risen, already healed, already reclaimed, life must reorganize itself to match that vision. This is divine law. The inner image shapes the outer world. You are not waiting for things to change. You are waiting for your perception to shift. Restoration does not start when the problem ends. It starts the moment you decide to stop identifying with the wound. Within you is the creative power that molds reality. Every thought you sustain, every image you nurture, every feeling you entertain becomes the blueprint of what manifests around you. The universe does not respond to need, it responds to awareness. When you see yourself as lacking, you broadcast lack. But when you declare inwardly, I am whole, I am complete, I am restored, you send forth an energy that draws everything needed for that reality to take form. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the creator of experience. The restoration you long for will not arrive through effort alone, but through awareness. It is not about forcing things to happen, but allowing the inner truth to unfold outwardly. You must step into the knowing that the same divine intelligence that created worlds is working through you, as you, for you. The power that restores universes resides in your consciousness, awaiting your command. See yourself as restored, even if nothing yet appears to have changed. Speak as if the miracle has already occurred. Feel as though the restoration is complete, and let that feeling anchor within you. The outer world must obey that vibration. It has no choice. You are the lawgiver of your reality, and your belief is the decree that sets it in motion. Every image you hold in your imagination is a seed planted in the field of creation. The stronger your conviction, the quicker the manifestation. Do not wait for life to prove to you that you are restored. Prove it to life by the way you think, feel, and walk. Restoration is not a future event, it is a present identity. When you embody the wholeness you seek, you attract experiences that confirm it. You become the mirror that reflects divine completion. The outer world can only echo what you hold within. So see yourself whole again. Feel the joy of being renewed, the peace of being restored, and watch as life rises to meet that vision. For when the vessel believes, creation obeys. ChatGPT said, the delay was divine alignment, not denial. Every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every silent stretch of waiting was never rejection. It was redirection. What you thought was God withholding was actually God preparing. The timing of your life has always been sacred. Even when it felt unbearable, you were never forgotten. You were being positioned. Every delay you encountered was aligning circumstances, people, and opportunities in perfect order, so that when your breakthrough arrived, nothing could shake it. The stillness you mistook for absence was the stillness of divine orchestration. In moments of waiting, the human mind grows restless. You wonder if your faith failed, if your effort wasn't enough, or if heaven turned away. But divine timing is not measured by human impatience. What feels like delay is often divine protection. You may have wanted something prematurely, but God knew that premature blessings can become burdens. The delay was not punishment, it was mercy disguised as silence. It was ensuring that your foundation was strong enough to hold the weight of what's coming. Every closed door was an act of guidance. Had you walked through the wrong one, it would have led you away from your purpose. Those rejections you cried over were actually redirections toward alignment. Life knew what you could not yet see, that some opportunities would have diminished your vision, that some relationships would have distracted your spirit, that some paths would have taken you further from your divine assignment. So the doors closed, not to confine you, but to define you. They closed so that you could be refined in the waiting, so that when the right door opened, you would walk through it in strength and clarity. The quiet seasons too were sacred. When nothing seemed to move, the most important work was being done within you. Stillness is never stagnation, it is preparation. In silence, faith is tested, patience is forged, and character is deepened. What you learned in those quiet moments, how to trust unseen promises, how to find peace without evidence, how to keep believing when everything was still. Those were lessons that shaped your elevation. Without the waiting, you would not be ready to sustain the blessing. The truth is, divine alignment requires coordination far beyond your sight. The universe was moving pieces, shifting hearts, and rearranging events to bring you into harmony with your destiny. If even one moment had come earlier, it would have been incomplete. So every not yet was actually not this way. Every pause was purposeful. Every silence had a sound, the sound of something greater forming behind the scenes. Now, as you look back, you will begin to see that what you call delay was divine timing unfolding in perfect rhythm. Nothing was wasted, nothing was denied. Everything was being positioned to serve your rise. The closed doors made room for better ones, and the waiting seasons made you ready for them. The alignment was happening all along, quietly, faithfully, and beautifully, for your elevation, not your abandonment. ChatGPT said, "The voice of faith must speak louder than memory. Too often we live bound by echoes of what once was. Mistakes, betrayals, losses, and disappointments replaying like a broken record in the mind. Memory has a powerful voice. It reminds you of what went wrong, who left, and how deeply you were hurt. But memory belongs to the past, and if you let it lead, it will keep you anchored in what no longer exists. Faith, on the other hand, speaks from the unseen. It declares what is becoming, not what has been. Faith doesn't consult memory. It consults divine truth. It doesn't look backward. It looks forward. To walk in restoration, you must choose which voice you will listen to. Memory says it's over. Faith says it's only beginning. Memory says you failed. Faith says you are being refined. Memory clings to old evidence, but faith creates new evidence. Every time you choose to speak words of faith instead of replaying old pain, you shift your vibration. The energy of faith calls life into motion, while the energy of memory freezes it in the past. You cannot move into what's being reborn if you keep rehearsing what broke. There is great power in rehearsal. Whatever you repeat, you reinforce. If you continually rehearse your pain, you give it life. If you rehearse your faith, you awaken creation. When you begin to rehearse restoration, when you speak of what is unfolding instead of what is gone, you open the door for miracles. Life responds to the script you keep speaking. So rewrite it. Instead of replaying betrayal, speak renewal. Instead of reliving disappointment, speak transformation. Instead of mourning what ended, declare what's arising. The mind is a garden. Memory plants the past, faith plants the future. You choose which seed to water. Every thought, every affirmation, every inner conversation builds the atmosphere around you. When the voice of faith becomes stronger than the memory of loss, restoration becomes inevitable. Faith speaks in present tense. It says, "I am whole now," even when the evidence has not yet appeared. That declaration carries creative power. It begins to rewrite the patterns of your life. from the inside out. You cannot enter a new chapter while reading the old one aloud. Silence the echoes of what broke. Let the past be a teacher, not a home. Faith will always call you higher, to believe in what your senses cannot yet verify, to see life as already redeemed, to know that nothing good truly ends. What broke was not destruction, it was transformation. What was shattered is now being reshaped. So stop giving memory your microphone. Hand it back to faith. Let faith narrate your life. Let it remind you that endings are illusions, that rebirth is constant, that every fall was preparation for flight. The more you speak from faith, the more your world will begin to resemble it. Stop replaying what broke. Start rehearsing what's being reborn, because creation responds to the voice that dares to believe again. This is your appointed hour. The moment you've prayed for, waited for, and often doubted would ever come, it's here. The delays, the detours, the long nights of uncertainty have all led you to this divine intersection where purpose meets timing. What once felt out of reach is now unfolding with ease. What seemed impossible is now inevitable. The season of divine restoration has arrived for you, and everything that once worked against you is now working in your favor. There is a rhythm in the universe that governs all things, a divine order that ensures nothing arrives too early or too late. You are now standing in that sacred alignment. The time of waiting has served its purpose. The preparation is complete. The soil of your soul has been tilled by patience, faith, and endurance. Every prayer, every tear, every act of perseverance was not in vain. It was building momentum for this moment. This is the hour where everything begins to make sense. The dots that never seemed to connect will suddenly align, revealing a picture of divine intelligence beyond human reasoning. You may not have seen the evidence while waiting, but heaven has been active behind the veil. The same unseen hand that carried you through the valley is now lifting you into visibility. The tides have shifted. The energy that once resisted you is now assisting you. The things that seemed distant are now drawing near. This is not a coincidence. It is divine timing manifesting in your favor. Every closed door that once frustrated you was secretly preserving you for this exact moment of unveiling. This appointed hour is not just about what happens to you, it's about what's happening through you. You have been refined by fire, and now you carry a strength that cannot be shaken. The lessons learned in the silence have shaped a wisdom that will guide your next chapter. The tests that nearly broke you have become the foundation of unshakable faith. You are no longer who you were when the journey began. You are who you needed to become for this season to unfold. Now watch as what you once dreamed begins to materialize. Opportunities that seemed impossible will find you. Relationships that align with your purpose will appear. Finances, favor, healing, and peace will flow where struggle once stood. The doors that stayed closed are about to open, not by your force, but by divine decree. What once seemed impossible is now the natural outcome of your alignment. So lift your head and steady your heart. This is your time, not someday, not eventually, now. The universe has issued its command. Restore, return, renew. The waiting season has expired and manifestation has begun. All that you've endured has prepared you for this unveiling. This is your appointed hour, the hour where faith meets fulfillment, where prayer meets promise, and where every impossible thing becomes inevitable. Some say the season of divine restoration has arrived for you, and nothing can stop what has already been written in your favor. ChatGPT said, everything you've walked through, every loss, delay, silence, and closed door was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. The divine has been crafting something extraordinary behind the scenes, working through every disappointment, shaping every detour, and aligning every moment to bring you into this season of restoration. What once felt like chaos was actually divine choreography. Nothing was wasted. Every experience carried purpose, every tear carried power, and every waiting season carried preparation. Now you stand at the threshold of fulfillment. The time of waiting is over. The restoration is not coming, it has come. The things that once seemed shattered are being pieced back together in divine order, stronger and more beautiful than before. You are no longer defined by what was lost, but by what is being renewed within you. The divine plan that once seemed delayed is now unfolding in your favor with perfect precision. Walk forward with confidence. Speak faith louder than fear. See yourself not as the one who suffered, but as the one who rose. Everything that left your life is returning multiplied. Everything that felt broken is being reborn. This is your divine turning point. The moment where loss gives way to abundance, confusion gives way to clarity, and hope turns into manifestation. So lift your eyes, lift your heart, and lift your voice in gratitude. The season of divine restoration is not ahead of you. It is here, now, moving through you and around you. Your waiting was never in vain. The promise was never denied. The blessing has found its appointed time, and that time is now. Thank you for allowing these words to reach your spirit. May they remind you that you are never forgotten, never forsaken, and never outside the reach of divine grace. Everything is being restored, fully, perfectly, and beautifully. Your time has come. Thank you for listening, and may restoration overflow in every area of your life.